I love this so much. Oh my gosh. Do you ever make something and you're like, wow, look at me. I did that. Hey everyone, it's Natalie, also known as Knitty Natty. Welcome to episode 129 of the Love and Stitches podcast. It is a gorgeous sunny day again. I feel like it was gorgeous and sunny the last time I recorded, I think. I can't remember. But it is a beautiful day here in New York City. I think it's in the low 30s today. I just got back in from taking Toaster out after we had lunch, and it was pleasant. Like, I didn't feel like my fingers were freezing off when I had to take off my gloves, and then I actually got a little warm because I had on like a sweatshirt and a jacket and a hat and a scarf and, you know, knit socks all bundled up for the cold weather. I have worn my knitting 1,000 times more here than in Texas, which is kind of a duh, but like, it's been really nice to actually get to wear a lot of the things that I make because they are functional here, which is great. I love that. So we have so much to talk about today. I have another giveaway later on in this podcast because I got some new goodies that I want to share. And I have finished objects. I'm just really excited to share. Oh, I wanted to show that I'm wearing my We Are Knitters t-shirt that I have grown to love a lot. Actually, I've worn this so many times that now there's like a hole somewhere in it, I think. I thought there might have been like a hole somewhere at the back of the neck, or maybe it's the front, or maybe it's the arm. I don't know. I saw a hole one time when I was folding it and I was like, no! But you know what? That just means I'm wearing it a lot, getting a lot of use out of it, and maybe one day it will have to be downgraded. Not that I go anywhere, because I am always at home working, so it's not really that big of a deal. But anyway, I love this shirt. Okay, let's talk about projects because we have several to talk about that got finished over the weekend, and I've got a new project that I started. Oh, by the way, this is the first podcast of February, hooray. So we are going back to the Plans and Dreams section that I started the first podcast of the year, and we're going to be rotating through these different podcast segments every single month. I think it's going to be really fun. This is the first year that I'm doing that, so I'm excited about it. Okay, I wanted to bring up a finished object from last week, and it's this, the Multnomah Falls hat. I finished this before the last podcast, but I had not put on the pom-pom or worn it yet. So I actually wanted to bring it back and talk about both of those things. One, I have been wearing it and it's too big. I've been wearing it and I now know that I should have knit a smaller size. It still looks fine, and honestly it functions fine. It's not like falling off my head. Like maybe like if I'm wearing it for a long time, I'll have to kind of adjust it every 15 minutes or so. Not a huge deal. If I made it again though, I would make it smaller because once I washed it and blocked it, it stretched a lot. I don't think that could have been helped by not washing or blocking it. Also, I don't believe that you should not wash things. Like, I'm very much like, I want to wash my stuff. So I should have made it smaller is what I learned from that. But I really like this pattern, and so many people in the membership, in the Love and Stitches membership, knit this pattern in different colors with different lengths, and they all turned out so good. So this is an awesome pattern, but maybe go down a size. If you're between sizes, maybe pick the smaller one because it does tend to stretch. Okay, also, I picked a pom-pom. So I showed 2 pom-poms last week, and then I ended up finding this one. I had a third pom-pom. I was doing some organizing this weekend, and I found it, and I liked that one the best. So I added this one in. It is one of the snap variety. So there we go. I'm using my fingernail to do the snap, undo the snap, because I sewed it with yarn. And here's something that is great. Did you know that you don't have to weave your ends in all the way? I just left my ends, like I used them to sew, and then I just left them because maybe one day I will want to remove this pom-pom completely, and I don't want to snap on the top of my head, on the top of my hat. But the snap is there. It came with the pom-pom so that you can remove the pom-pom for washing and then snap it back on. I guess I could also change out the color because I have another identical like shape and snap. It's just a different color. So I wanted to bring that on and show it again, even though it was finished knitting last week. Now it is finished, and I took a little selfie in it and posted it because I just haven't been very good at doing proper, like, go out somewhere and get a finished object photo in a long time, which is sad. I should do that. I guess it's like when I was in Texas, I would go in my neighborhood with my tripod and I didn't care if like an occasional neighbor walked by. But here it's different. I don't know. I guess I could do that. I don't really care. I mean, people are taking photos all the time. I think I'm just lazy. I'm just being lazy about it is what the truth is. So now it's finished. But I do have some other things that were not finished last week that are now actually finished. The first of which are my sweetheart socks. Dun, 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 dun. So I had finished one a while ago, almost like a month ago when I first, no, actually, I don't think I did have it finished when I put it out for testers, but pretty quickly after I got the test started, I had finished the first sock. And then I was working on the second sock for quite a while, but I was kind of like holding back on finishing it because I wanted to use it to create some tutorials. So after I did that last week, it was, you know, go time. I wanted to get the pair finished before the pattern came out. And so I think I was right here and I finished the rest of the sock over the weekend. This one actually, no, wait. Yeah, this is the second one. I can tell because I did my knitting over ends technique differently in this sock so that it's a bit smoother. Then in the first sock, I tried knitting over, it's hard to tell, but I tried knitting over the two ends together. Wait, maybe I'm mixing these up. This is the smoother one. This is the newer one. And then this one I tried knitting over the ends together and it's kind of, it affects the fabric a lot more. But anyway, they both look great and I love them. They turned out so cute. So this yarn is from Moonglow Yarn Company. And it is the merino nylon base 7525. I think this is the only base you can get the Sweetheart sock set in. So the color is called the Sweetheart sock set. It comes with a white main skein and 6 mini skeins, and it is designed for this pattern, which is out right now. It came out on Tuesday, and to like pull these right because they look funny on here. Came out on Tuesday. There we go. Now they're even. That was weird. And we're doing a make along. I'm going to talk about that more in a second. Sorry, I was getting like tripped up on my, like, what do I want to share right now? I'm going to hold off talking about the make along until the news segment so that I don't repeat myself. But socks are done. First pair of socks for the year that are finished. I am not feeling like a sock year this year. Like, I think that I might not knit nearly as many socks as I normally do because I'm just not feeling it. I want to make other things. I want to work on sweaters. I'm kind of into hats right now. So it'll be interesting to just kind of see how that goes throughout the year. Like after I finish these, I wasn't going, oh, I need to cast on my next pair of socks. I was like, oh, good. My socks are done. I don't have to knit any socks right now if I don't want to. I mean, I do have another pair going, but I didn't work on those. So, okay. So first true finished object, and I was happy to have those done before February 1st for the pattern release and just also to kind of wrap up, like package up January nice and put it away, you know? I like to get things finished and then go into the next month. I have another big finish, but it's not 100% finished yet. And that is my sea glass tee. Oh, isn't it awesome? You might be noticing there are some ends still to go. So I finished my sea glass tee over the weekend. See, sleeves are done. All the knitting is done. However, I was really having a hard time figuring out if I had made the sweater too long. And this all would have been resolved if I had listened to my gut initially and wasn't lazy and stopped, rearranged my stitches and tried it on before doing the last color here. Because I think if I had tried it on after this point, I would have said, you know what, it's long enough, I'm gonna stop and do the ribbing. But because I had already spent a day knitting the last color, I was getting into my own head about like, well, maybe this is the right length because it's how it measures perfectly with the pattern. And I kept trying it on and I was like talking it through on Instagram stories and getting advice from y'all. And like, I was okay, I just need to sleep on it. And then Saturday, or was that Sunday? It was over the weekend at some point. I woke up and I was like, okay, I'm gonna compare this to some of my other sweaters, and I compared it, and I was having a really hard time making a decision. So I just decided to pick one and go with it, which was to keep the length, and I blocked it, and now I still need to try it on and make sure that was the right decision, because for some reason I wasn't thinking about how it would maybe grow in blocking. I don't think my swatch grew, and I think that's pretty unusual because most of the time when you're knitting in stockinette, you're gonna get some growth, or really any pattern. But with color work, I don't think maybe you get as much length growth. So I'm not really sure. Look how nicely the fabric does. Isn't that nice? Okay, I have lots more things to say about this, and I'm gonna put it on and try it on like here first. But let's talk about the yarn real quick. This is another Moon Glow yarn company. My main color is Cottonwood Breeze. I'm not gonna get rid of the label yet because I might not be done with this yet. And I did not use, I decided to bring my yarns over. Whoa. I got into a second skein. I don't know how much I used, probably not even half of that. But I was glad I had that second skein because I definitely needed it. And then this is the advent calendar from this year. You can't see any of that, but basically I used about half, well, less than half, because I think these are 20 gram skeins, and I think they're still measuring between like 12 to 14, maybe like 12. I can't remember. I was weighing them. They're kind of varied because some of the colors here in the yoke, I used a little bit more because I had the sleeves in there. And then of course the sleeve ones, I used a little bit more. And then these going down the body where the stitch count doesn't change, I used about the same amount for. I have a ton of that left over. So I'm kind of thinking about different things to do with that because I'm just obsessed right now with using up my stash. I don't want to like keep scraps around for long. I don't want to like keep leftovers if I know I'm not going to use them around. I'd rather give them away, do something with them. I'm just obsessed with that right now. Back to the sweater though. So I love how this turned out. Like if I have to take this out and redo the edge, that's fine. You know what? I will do it. But the sweater just turned out amazing. I don't think I said, but the Sea Glass tee is by Wool and Pine Designs, and they just write the best patterns. They're really, really clear directions. Okay, what else is going on with this sweater? So I haven't woven in, I wove in some of the ends, the ones that I knew wouldn't need to come out, but the ones that I haven't done are like the bind offs on the sleeves, the bind offs on the bottom, and then I wanted to block it first before I dealt with any of the ends where I changed colors. So I change colors in a very precise manner. I change colors every 8 rows. Actually, I ended up doing 8, 8, 8, 7, 8, 8, 8, 7. And so it's very precise, and it has led me to have, oh, I should have woven in that one. But basically every 8 or so rows, I have 2 ends right next to each other. I've got them all tied off right now. But what I'm planning to do is not weave these in because that's a real pain. I am just planning to make a double knot and trim, and I can leave like a little bit of tail. Like I'm not, you know, honestly, if I left it all like this, it wouldn't matter on the right side. Like everything has stayed together really nicely. It's not visible. And again, you don't have to weave in your ends. Like weaving in your ends is just to get the tail out of the way and prevent it from like slipping loose. But with a wool, this is an 80-20, I think. 80% superwash, oh, okay, sorry, the Cottonwood Breeze, 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon. So it's a little bit different. I don't know if the advent calendar had the cashmere in it or if it was an 80% merino, 20% nylon, but they were so similar I couldn't really tell. But anyway, this yarn, like, it's not going anywhere. So like if I just left, there's my color change. If I just left it, it wouldn't matter, except to me, it might like tickle me. So I think I'm just gonna tie and trim, leaving the tails a little bit long and see how that does. I know you can like also braid, but I don't think I have enough to braid. So that's my plan. What else? Okay, there's a mistake in this. And I want you to really look at this. And this was a really good lesson for me in two ways. It was a good knitting lesson and it was a good, what's the right word? Like, not like a life lesson, maybe like a life lesson, but can you see the mistake? I'll get closer. Do you see? Actually, when you get closer, it's harder to see. When you're further away, I think it's easier to see. Do you see this line right here? Kind of looks like a white line. It honestly has diminished in appearance since I blocked it. It was a lot more obvious before I blocked it. So let me explain what this is. So there's this thing called color dominance when you're doing color work. And I'm sure that I'm oversimplifying this, but basically the dominant color is the one that pops forward. For me, as a two-handed color work knitter, I hold one yarn in my right hand and one in the left. The one that I hold in my left hand and knit continental pops. So throughout this sweater, I always held my cream in my right hand and the color, the rainbows, in my left, so that the rainbow yarn popped. And I did that consistently throughout, except for this line right there. You see it? I didn't do it on purpose, of course. And I didn't realize it until I was about like 2 colors past and I looked and I was like, what happened? Did it get pulled? What is that? I thought at first that I had messed up that entire section and like knit the same color on top for a couple of, for like 20 stitches and then corrected myself. But no, that line is purely because for some reason I wasn't paying attention. I switched the hands in which I was holding my yarns. And that white, that cream, for a few stitches was dominant. Is it not crazy how much of a difference that makes? Now you may be wondering, if I noticed that while I was knitting, why didn't I fix it? Well, one, if I had messed up like the actual alignment of color, I might have gone back, but I didn't. 2, it doesn't affect the function of the sweater whatsoever. It is on the front of the sweater, so it is kind of obvious. I'm actually pleased that it seemed to have diminished in appearance with blocking, which is great. But the main reason that I didn't fix it is that I am personally working on my own need to have things perfect. And I've shared before, I'm doing this program called the Perfectionism Project. That's what the podcast is called. The program is actually called something different. And it's really, really great. It's for entrepreneurs. And it has like honestly already changed my life in the month of January. It's made me feel heard and understood, but it's also made me understand myself more and realize some of the things that I do to like, waste my own time, honestly. And so I sat there and I was like, oh no, I've made a mistake. I can fix it. I know I can. I could fix it. It's kind of annoying that I wasted that time because now I need to go fix it. But I was like, you know what? Do I really have to fix it? I don't. And I was like, it would be a really good, not lesson, I'm not trying to punish myself. It would just be a really good practice in kind of beating perfectionism. Like, I don't have to fix it. I can actually be okay with this mistake. So instead of me looking at this and being annoyed every time I saw it, I looked at it and I was like, you know what? I'm proud of myself for accepting that and deciding to keep it. I've decided I'm going to keep it. That's my decision. And I'm going to move forward. And I knit the rest of the sweater knowing that mistake was there. And for me, that was a big step. Okay, I've talked about this long enough. Let me put this on and we're going to find out together if I need to take out some rows. I love this so much. Oh my gosh. Do you ever make something and you're like, wow, look at me. I did that. That's how I feel about this. This is so cool. Much credit to the designers and the yarn dyer, and about 5% of credit to me for making this. But I mean, it's so amazing. Okay, so this is a circular yoke, obviously. When I first was trying it on, this was like up here and it was like standing up funny. Now that I've blocked it, and of course with more wear, it's coming down to a really nice neckline. There is short row shaping to make it fit better as a circular yoke, because obviously most bodies are not, the topography in the front and the back, not the same. So you need a little something to like let things hang properly. It does make it a little longer in the back too. The sleeves, I wasn't sure if I would like them because I don't really like a, what is it? Like a too long of a short sleeve, I guess. But I think it looks good. I will say the sleeves are, they're not snug, but they're definitely not loose. They're fitted, you know? But I think it looks good. This is probably the best fit I've ever gotten on a circular yoke. My armpit's right here. There's always going to be that little bit of like, you know, the yoke has to go over your arm. So it's a little bit of a different fit, but honestly, I think this is my best fit I've ever achieved. So this looks good. And I knit, hey, I knit the size, oh crap. I'm trying to put this in my Ravelry projects from now on because, let me sit back down. I think it's really useful to see how other people fit things, and it will be useful information for me to look back on too. Okay, I literally put this in the size of the project page. I knit the size 41. My bust measures 35 inches. So I chose 6 inches of positive ease for the bust. The pattern does give you like a range of positive ease. So there you go, that's what I did. 6 inches of positive ease for my bust, and I knit the size 41. Okay, back up. We'll get down there now. I'm wearing joggers right now, so it may not be the best. I'm definitely gonna have to try this on again with jeans, but I actually think the length is good. It probably also would have been good had I not done the last color, but I think this is pretty much great, honestly. This is fine. I don't think I'm gonna change it. I really like this. Oh my gosh, I just love how the colors came out. It is so cute. So again, I'm wearing joggers, and yeah, if it was like that, I probably wouldn't have changed it either, but I think the length is good, especially when I'm like, okay, I'm gonna mimic sitting down. I think that's gonna be good because then I won't be, you know, pulling down on the shirt. And then you may be wondering why there's like a million ends here on the bind off. That is because I adjusted a couple things on this pattern. Again, I put them in my Ravelry notes, and lots to say on this because it's a finished object. Oh, I'm so happy, like literally so happy. I was already mentally preparing myself to be like, well, I'm gonna have to take out part of it, but that's okay. But I'm not. I'm just gonna have to weave in the ends. I'm so excited. Okay, so I changed the ribbing and the cast on and the bind off for all things that are ribbed. So I started with a tubular cast on, which is, can you tell? Basically, whoa, it's a more finished look. It takes longer, but it's so worth it. So I did a tubular cast on and I did a regular 1x1 rib instead of twisted. The pattern has twisted. I did the same thing on the sleeves and I did a tubular bind off. I'm out of breath now. so much excitement. I did the same thing on the bottom and a tubular bind off so that it all has that rounded, nice edge to it. This is such a cute sweater. Like, I'm so happy with how it turned out. Thank you, Whitney, because Whitney's the dyer, Moonglow. She's the one who said, you know, I think you should probably use a neutral when you're neutral to alternate with the colors. I think that's going to bring the rainbow down a little bit, tone it down and make it look really good. And you're right. It looks amazing. Oh, one more thing. I got a question from somebody about if this is a stiff fabric because of the color work, you know, you're stranding the yarns, and it is not. I think it's because of the gauge they want you to achieve with the needle size. It's still like a nice flowy fabric. I would suggest a natural fiber. I think the wool helps a lot, but this turned out great. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy with it. I know Kay, the Crazy Sock Lady, she's making the DK weight version of this sweater, and yeah, I don't think I could recommend it enough. It definitely helped to have different colors to go all the way down. One more shot. It definitely helped to have all different colors because it motivated me. Okay, that was a lot about this one thing. Guess what? Bye, Cottonwood Breeze. I don't need that tag anymore because it's finished, and I'm just gonna weave in my ends. So all this yarn that I have left, I have thought about a few different things. I've got so many colors. I used colors 1, red was color 1, 22 was this dark purple I have at the bottom, and then there were 3 other colors that were like gray, brown, 2 different shades of gray and brown, I think. I did not choose to use them in the sweater. But I have so much left. I was thinking about making maybe some kind of like wall art, and I could put it there, like some kind of rainbowy wall art, because I thought, you know, that would help me use it up really quickly. It would be really cute. I could have something in the background of my podcast. Thought about that. And then I also thought about using it for like another project, but I'm not really sure I want another like rainbow sweater. So stay tuned because I have an idea that I'm going to share in another section of the podcast today. I'm just going to keep this on until I pause the camera again so that I can enjoy it for a little bit. Okay, I'm not done with projects yet, but I am going to go through these next ones rather quickly. So let me get all that out of the way. I have started a new project. I am going to be casting on several things throughout this whole first week of February, and this is just one of them. So I'm kind of trying to do like one at a time and get it started to the point of, you know, where it's flowing before I start something new. So I started this on Sunday, which was 2 days ago. Wait, that's not true. I started this yesterday. I'm probably going to start something else tonight and then work on these 2 projects for the next few days and then start a sweater over the weekend. So lots of projects to start the month off. But that's good. That means I finished some things, which is really where I want to be. So I have started a hat for my husband, Kent. And we're just going to call this Kent's hat. I will explain more about the pattern in a second. I am using yarn from Botanical Yarn. And I got this at String Thing Studio in Brooklyn. Kent actually picked this yarn out, and it is a custom colorway. It says, colorway exclusive to String Thing Studio. The colorway is Striped Sock 2. I don't really know why this color was exclusive for them because String Thing Studio is like, I thought their color was orange, but I don't know. Anyway, Kent really liked this. It is, I would not call this a self-striping, but maybe that's because I'm doing a hat and not socks. Like I think it would maybe micro stripe in socks, but it's a gray and then like, you know, bright red and bright blue. So basically it looks like a lot of sports teams, a lot of American superheroes. Like it's just, that's what it is. So not my favorite colors together, but Kent really liked it because it looks like, that was me dropping it on the floor. It looks like his college, his alma mater, SMU. They are red and blue, so it's perfect. And it also looks like the New York Rangers, so if we go to any hockey games, he can wear it. Okay, so this is the deal with this pattern. It is a 2x2 ribbed hat that I have made twice before. Once for Kent. He's got a dark gray one he picked out the yarn for, and I knit it a few years ago. He's actually wearing it now since he needs it. And then I knit the same one for my brother, and I adapted it a little bit. And then I was like, perfect. Kent's like, I want that same type of hat. I think it's gonna look really good. And I was like, okay, great. I will make you the hat. And I went to download the pattern, and it's no longer on Ravelry. So it was a free pattern before. And the designer decided to take their patterns off of Ravelry, which is totally fine. And within, you know, obviously if they want to do that, that's fine. But it was a free pattern, and I already had a ton of notes in my Ravelry project page. And so I just decided to take my notes. I took Kent's hat. I counted how many stitches I had cast on because that's the only thing I couldn't remember. And then I took the notes from how I had adapted the decreases of the hat, and now I have a hat pattern. So I put that in the project page for this. Again, it's just called Kent's hat, and I'm changing a couple more things this time. So I have done a 2x2 tubular cast on. So if you can look closely, see how that edge is nice and rounded. It's very finished looking. So this is a new adjustment. It took me like all last night to cast it on, do the there's 2 setup rounds. Actually, there's 3 setup rounds for 2x2 ribbing. I like to use Andrea Mowry's tutorial. And it took me all of the bachelor to do that. And then I joined in the round and knit like 2 rounds of rib. And then I knit on it a little bit at lunch today. So I've just barely started it, but I think it looks really nice. And so I will do this. I think in my notes, I said I need to knit now in ribbing, 2x2 ribbing for 8.5 inches. And then I completely changed the decreases from the original hat pattern. And I had already put those in my notes, which is why I'm pretty certain it was a free pattern, because I would never do that for a pattern that is not free. Like I would not share anything about the pattern. So I had put that in my notes already. So I was like, perfect. I copied them, pasted them into this new project. So basically, I don't know how big Kent's head is, except that I know that this fits him. If you need a good basic ribbed hat pattern, you can follow those instructions. It's really easy. It's great. It uses up the majority of a skein of fingering weight. I'm using size 1 needles. These are pretty cool. These are like I think they're called carbons. I usually don't use 16-inch circular needles because it hurts my hands, but with something so simple like ribbing, it's not bothering me yet. And so I did all the cast on with my sock needles, and then I started working in the round, and I think it's all good. Oh, and look at this. How cute is this stitch marker? This is from 3 by the Sea Designs. A couple of my friends sent me this just for no reason, just as a sweet gift. And there's several colors. They're like metal, they are metal, and so they're kind of heavy duty. I really like them. Oh, sorry. 3 by the Sea, there we go. I was kind of wondering why they were hanging off. So those are super cute. And I just picked the red one because it matched, but obviously I love the pink and gold. So I'm just saving those because I'm like, oh, I can put these in so many fun projects. See, I got the red one in there. So cute. Okay, so that's my new project, and I'll probably have at least 1 next week, maybe 2, we'll see. And I have put it in this bag. This is a bag maker. She only made a handful of bags. The Pine Cottage, she doesn't make them anymore, but this is such a beautiful bag with a heavy duty gold zipper. And I had this design in here for years that I was never gonna work on. And so when I organized this weekend, I got rid of that, put the needles away, and I decided to put my project in it because why not? Okay, so that's all that I have to like actually show for projects, but listen here, I do have some other projects, so I'm just gonna run through them real quickly. I did not finish my Castle at Night socks from Sockmas. Those are the only project now that has come over from 2021. And I had envisioned in a perfect world that I would finish it before February, and I could have worked on them yesterday, but I was like, you know what? I don't really want to. Yesterday was the last day of February, and I was like, or I'm sorry, the last day of January, and I was like, I don't really want to. I'd rather get this hat cast on and set up rather than work on my socks. I can work on my socks later. So I was like, nah, I don't want to. The other project that I didn't work on or add anything to this week is my scrappy granny stripe blanket, but I am planning to work on it as I finish projects. But the last two projects that I just finished, my scrappy socks and scrappy sweater, I'm not going to use the scraps or the main colors because they're cream for that project. So I'm not adding anything to the scrappy blanket right now until I finish probably another project. And then the last thing that I did project-wise is I actually frogged 2 projects. I really didn't even frog them because one was they were both sock projects that I started in the fall of last year. One was like a cuff cast on this much. I literally just cut it off, kept the yarns, and like tossed the sock. Like I didn't even bother unraveling it because I think I'd already cut the yarns actually. That's what it was. I'd already cut the yarn. So I was like, forget this. I ripped them up, threw it away. And I know that will make some people like, but you know what? You can do that. It's your yarn. You paid for it. And then the other one, I actually had finished one of the socks. No, I'm not even finished with the first sock. I'm almost done, but I actually don't really care to make the second one. So I decided, you know what? I don't have to. I don't want to. I'm not going to, honestly. And so I've decided to take that out. And the yarn is a color that one of my friends who's starting to knit, I think would really like, and he was wanting to make some socks. And so I asked him, do you want this yarn? And I'll give you a pair of needles. I have like 6 sock needles now. And he was like, yeah, that would be great. So I'm going to give it to him. Problem solved. Yarn, because that's the thing. I didn't want these yarns from projects that I was taking out to go back into stash. And so I was like, how can I not put this into stash, but also not just like, I'm not going to throw away like an actual ball of yarn, you know? And so my friend wanted it, and so I gave it to him. Problem solved. So there you go. A few finished objects. I'm so glad this is done. I'm so excited for I'm going to get these ends woven in tonight while I'm knitting with my friend so that it's done. And a few things frogged and something new started. So it's been a good week of knitting here at Knitty Natty Central. Let's talk plans and dreams. So we're back at the beginning of a new month, which means I'm going to share my plans for the month, knitting-wise, crochet-wise, and also some of the dream knitting that I would want to do if I had the time, but I know that I don't. Doesn't mean that I won't do it maybe in the future, but this is a great opportunity for me to share with you some projects and patterns that I've seen that I think are amazing. Maybe you can make them instead. How about that? Okay, so first, I wanted to review what my plans were at the beginning of January, and did that actually happen? I know that in the last podcast, I did a stash update, and I talked about what my specific project plans are for February, and I'm not going to go into much detail today. It's just going to be a brief overview. Okay, so in January, I said that I didn't really have any goals or plans. I just wanted to go easy on myself and finish things up. I feel like I did that because I did finish my sweetheart socks as planned. I finished this sweater, which was a big finish because I think I was just at the split for the yoke, for the sleeves at that point. The only thing I didn't finish was my Castle at Night socks, which is fine. So I went easy on myself. I finished things up. I feel like goals accomplished for January, and now it's time to kick it into high gear for February. My only other thing was I wanted to publish my sweetheart socks, which I did. They came out today and they're available on Ravelry. And that was a really big deal for me. But again, I'm going to talk about that more in news in just a second. So February plans. I touched on this in the last podcast a little bit, but I am trying to use up stash. So a lot of my projects are based around using that stash. I figured out that if I knit, around 4.5 skeins from stash per month that I will completely eliminate my stash this year. That's my big goal, is to eliminate stash. I'm still exploring what that looks like, but my shorter term goal right now is that by the end of June, so halfway through the year, I will be able to fit my stash yarn into one cubby of my IKEA shelf. Currently it's in 2 cubbies. I mean, they're not full cubbies, but I don't want them to be full because I want them to be workable. Like I can actually play with the yarn and move it around. So about 4.5 skeins per month. And then, so really my February plan is to knit from stash. I talked about specific projects in the last podcast episode, but of course I'll be sharing them here as I actually cast them on. The hat that I just showed for Kent was one of them. And then my other goal for February is to start designing my next pattern. Now that I've finished one, I wanted to completely finish it before starting on my next one because I'm kind of rebuilding my designing muscle because it's been so long since I designed. So that's my February plan. Knit from stash, around 4.5 skeins per month. So around 4.5 skeins from stash for February, and to start on my next pattern. Again, it's not super rigid, and I think that's good because this is a really busy month. I'm going to be traveling. I have a sock course that I'm working on, and it's a short month, so it just goes by fast. I don't know why 3 days make such a difference, but they do. And so I think that's enough. That's good. Okay, I have been dreaming of some amazing patterns that I've seen on Instagram. Some in my membership people are bringing up, and these are, 2 of them are color work because for the Love and Stitches membership this month, we are focused on color work. So we're working on the Sweetheart socks, and then we're working on a cowl from another designer who is one of my dream patterns today. So I'm going to share that in a second. Okay. But I feel like I'm kind of primed for color work right now because of this make along that we're doing. And I'm just like looking everywhere at color work patterns. So somebody, I don't even know who this was, somebody shared this designer in their stories, and I loved their pattern so much. I went immediately, followed them, found them on Ravelry, favorited their pattern. It's so cute. So this is the Garden Gate, I think it's just called Garden Gate, but it's a Garden Gate cowl by Mackenzie Alvarez. And it is so pretty. It's just the most gorgeous cowl. I'm going to look at it here myself. It's so pretty. It looks like it's, I don't know how they do it, but maybe it's like a tube that's sewn together or something, or double knitting. I'm not really sure, but there's stripes on the inside and color work on the outside. Sandwiched by ribbing, and the colors are just so beautiful. I love how they contrast. I think this looks like a fabulous project for 2 yarns you have in your stash that you love, but you don't. Sorry, I just got an idea. What? I just got an idea. I don't know if this would work, but remember how I said that I got rid of a sock pattern? I mean, of a sock project. I got rid of a sock project that I had barely started, and it was with these 2 colors, but I don't know if that would be enough yarn. But they've been sitting out because I don't want to put them back into stash, but they're not small enough that I want to put them into a scrappy project yet. Actually, we're going to make a decision right now. If it's enough for the cowl, I will keep them for the cowl. If it's not enough for the cowl, I will divide them in half and put them in my scrappy blanket this weekend and give the other half. I've been keeping scraps for a swap, so I will keep them for the swap. So let's see, how much yarn do you need? 250 to 540 yards. Okay, let me see. Oh, there's an option to do the inside, the liner, or not. So if you don't do the liner, you do, oh, I don't think I have enough because you need 347 yards of color A. Wah, wah. Okay, you know what? Good. I've made a decision on these yarns. I'm throwing them right now on top of my bag that has my scrappy blanket in it. Anyway, sorry, that was like a tangent, wasn't it? So the Garden Gate cowl is so beautiful. I don't know, I'm just gonna look at my stash right now and just see if there's anything in there, but it's so beautiful. I think it's like a perfect, you could use stash or not kind of a project. and I think some people should definitely make it so that I can look and see it. It's so beautiful. And what did I do? I messaged with the designer because I don't remember why now, but she was so sweet and messaged me right back. So, you know, that just makes me want to make something more, you know what I mean? Okay, on to the next thing. This one is not color work, but I have been eyeing these ever since they came out, I think like maybe mid-January. And these are the tan line joggers from Brianna Lupino. And I actually don't know if it's Brianna or Brianna, which is such a shame because I talk to Brianna all the time on Instagram. I hate it that I don't know that. I don't like not being able to pronounce someone's name correctly. So that's on my to-do list like today, is to message her and be like, is it Brianna or Brianna? And I'm so sorry that I even have to ask you that. But anyway, I love these joggers. I'm obsessed. I'm wearing my Costco joggers, and my compression sock. I'm wearing my Costco joggers right now. Y'all keep tagging me that you're going to get them at Costco, and they're so comfy. But imagine comfy yarn joggers. Now, this is going to be a lot of knitting, but I think it could be a really cool project. It's in fingering weight, and there are so many testers on here, and they all look amazing in them. Of course, they're meant to be comfy, kind of a project. So tan line joggers, they look so cute. And I was thinking about this, so I'm not sure. I'm kind of just not sure, but I feel like I do want to make these joggers one day. This actually, I'm getting so many creative ideas. I guess I'm in a creative mood. Okay, I don't know if I have enough yarn again for this, but would it not be cool to do a rainbow pair of joggers? I would make them match, I think. Like I would start at the top. Oh, but I wouldn't know how many rows I could do. I might be eliminating this as a yarn choice right now, but I want to do something cool with this leftover yarn from this sweater. And I thought it would be kind of fun to do joggers with them, like rainbow, stripy rainbow joggers, because again, I'm just going to wear them at home and that would make me smile and it would make me warm and it would make me happy. And so why not? But anyway, you should check out the tan line joggers by Brianna Lupino. She's a fabulous designer, has so many great things, shorts, all this really cute stuff. So that's definitely on my like to make in the future list because I love them so much. The last thing that I have been eyeing, this pattern is not even out yet, but I've been obsessing over all of this designer's patterns. And this is Jamie Lomax, who is P&W Knit Design, and it is her Freddy cowl. I'm gonna have a picture from Instagram here because again, these are not even out yet. They're in testing because I think this was from the tester call that I like screenshot this Instagram post. But Jamie Lomax, she's P&W Knit Design. If you are looking for some color work to just keep you really interested, that's not super complicated, look here because she's got cowls and hats, mostly I think, and they're all so fun. She had these holiday cowls for Halloween and Christmas that had different motifs you could switch around. They're just really, really cute. I learned about her from Whitney of Moonglow Yarn Company because she was making the fall doodle cowl. And then I saw all the things she had. And this one, the Freddy cowl, is inspired by her, I believe, I read this quickly, so I think I've got this right, but I believe she has a corgi named Freddy. It's her dog. And so, of course, the little paw prints, they're so cute. It made me think of Toaster and how maybe I need a toaster cowl, a little toaster cowl with some paw prints on it. But it's so adorable and all of her designs are amazing. I'm really excited because we're interviewing her as one of our membership events this month. So that's something that we like to do a lot in the membership is to ask other designers or yarn dyers to come and co-host an event with me, and I get to do an interview with them. And that's one of the things that we do several times a year, I would say. And so I'm really excited to get to interview Jamie and just like get into her head, like how do you come up with all of these things? But go check out Jamie Lomax on Ravelry. All three of the patterns that I talked about today, I'm gonna have them linked so that you can go and explore that pattern or any of the other patterns from those designers. I just had to stop and switch my battery. That's how long I've been talking today. Don't worry, we're getting into now the news section. I do have a lot of news, so I'm gonna try to share as much as I can, as concisely as possible, but just know that I only share things that I think are important. And so I do want to be able to share all of these things with you. So biggest announcement of the week is that the Sweetheart Sock pattern is now available. As of right now, I have it on Ravelry, and hopefully I will get it onto Etsy. Etsy doesn't seem to be as big of a pattern seller for me, so I make sure I get everything on Ravelry first, and then I get it onto Etsy. So you can go and find the pattern there. It costs $5. What do you need to know about the pattern? So it is a colorwork sock pattern, and it is designed to be knit either from the cuff down or the toe up. There's actually two PDFs when you buy the pattern, and they're separate so that there's no confusion in like, you know, am I following the toe up instruction to the cuff down? There's two separate PDFs, and both ways have been tested in all of the sizes. So I had a lot of testers for this pattern, and we made sure to get everything tested properly. So you've got color work, there is shaping, and also you do go up a needle size for the color work. These are all to help the color work fit your leg, but I suggest doing, if you haven't done color work before, I would do a gauge swatch. If you have, I would go with your regular needle size for the cuffs, heels, and foot and toe, and I would go up a full needle size for the color work. That's my suggestion in the pattern. And then there are these fun stripes on the foot right after the heel and right before the toe. I'm suggesting a short row heel. I like the Fish Lips Kiss heel. So you can sub in your favorite, you can do Afterthought, but I also had testers who did a heel flop and gusset as well. So basically you'll need to insert your own heel into the pattern, but I have notes on the most common heel types. Okay, I think that's everything about the pattern itself. The yarn is the Moonglow Yarn Company's Sweetheart Sock Set, and Whitney and I from Moonglow, we are doing a make-along that starts February 1st, which is today, so it will be already started when you are watching this. And to participate, you can do one of two things, or both. You can knit the Sweetheart Sock pattern in any yarn, or you can use the Moonglow Sweetheart Sock Set in any pattern, or you can do both, which I've done here because this yarn was, the pattern was designed to use the yarn. So the Sweetheart Sock Along, we've got information on knittynatty.com and on moonglowyarnco.com, but it is a make-along that is on Instagram. You participate by posting photos of your socks or your yarn and using the hashtag Sweetheart Sock Along, and this is gonna run February 1st to February 28th. We had a live Instagram cast on party today, and we will have a closing party on Instagram at the end of the month. And then in the middle, I'm going to do a YouTube live. I'm like, what? I'm gonna do a YouTube live where we're just gonna be like checking in and chatting, but I'm also going to answer questions about color work. So there you go. Those are the events, and all of the dates can be found on knittynatty.com or moonglowyarncompany.com. One of the other fun things that we're doing is Whitney has created these prompts. So if you're like, what do I write about when I post about my sock, and use hashtag Sweetheart Sock Along, you can follow these prompts, and she's got those on her website. I've got them on my website, and I'm gonna save them to my Instagram story highlights. So it's like, you know, week 1 is like post your sock materials. Week 2, I don't remember them exactly, but I know one of the weeks was like, what's your favorite Valentine's candy? So you could like have these prompts to share about. And then she also created this Instagram story template that's a this or that for Valentine's Day. And so it's like, you know, would you rather have like white chocolate or dark chocolate, or a date night out or a date night in, and just some like fun random things that you can share on Instagram and tag us, and it's just all for fun. So we're excited about that make along, and that's going to run throughout the entire month of February. So first make along for the year, partnered up with Moonglow Yarn Company, and I'm really excited. It's gonna be fun. Okay, The next announcement, new Love and Stitches logo merchandise is now available. It just dropped last Friday. There is the pink logo, white logo, and black logo, and they are available on a multitude of things, t-shirts in different like styles, like long sleeve, short sleeve, flowy, crop, all kinds of things. There's hoodies and sweatshirts. There's the hoodie shirt. There's a mug, a water bottle, just several different things. So all of that is available now. You can go to knittingshirts.com or look on any of my YouTube videos or my Instagram profile under merch to find those things. I do have a new video from this week. It is another tutorial video that it's for the Sweetheart Socks, but it's also going to change your life because this video is about knitting over your ends. It's a tutorial video that has 4 different ways that you can knit over your ends so that you never have to weave in ends again. In these socks, the only ends I had to weave in a traditional way was the cast on and grafting the toe. Everything else I was able to just snip because I knit over my ends. And there's a bunch of different scenarios where knitting over your ends makes sense, and I cover all of those in the tutorial video. So I will link that down below, but it is one you're gonna want to save to a playlist. If you have like a YouTube playlist of tutorials, save it because you can use it on so many occasions. If you remember my long summer cardigan where I had all those tiny stripes, knit over all of those ends. I did not have to weave in one of them. It is going to change. I'm telling you, it will change your knitting life in a sense. So check that tutorial out. It's one of my favorites. Okay. We are going to have another make along, not until April though, and I am teaming up with Yarnia, which is a yarn store in Montclair, New Jersey. I went and visited them last year in the spring and did a video with them. They're wonderful, so there's a shop tour for that. Actually, I should definitely link the shop tour. Let me just type that note to myself. But we are partnering up for a spring shawl make along, and we're starting on it now because we want to feature a smaller designer, and we're defining that as somebody whose whose patterns have less than 25 projects on Ravelry. So if that is you, and you are a knitting shawl designer or have a shawl design that's just knitting, then you can apply to be the pattern that's featured in this make along. So right now through February 10th, or whenever we have kind of a limit in mind of how many patterns we're going to accept and then go through. So whenever we hit the limit or February 10th, we're going to close it, but you have until then to submit your shawl design. It needs to be in fingering weight yarn. Use 2 to 3 skeins of yarn because we don't want it to be like a massive Stephen West type of shawl, but we don't want it to be a really small one. And then there's a couple other things. It's all in the form, which I'm going to link below. But if you have a design that's like that, or you're working on one, as long as it's going to be done and tested and finished by April 1st, then you can apply. So I'll leave the form down below. It has more information on it. But if you are a designer and you're looking to, get a spotlight and a little more attention on your designs, we're hoping that this make along will do that. Eventually, we will narrow down these submissions to maybe 3 to 5 designs, and then we're going to share them and let the public vote for our final design for the make along. That's not starting till April 1st. So if you're not a designer, just be on the lookout at the end of February for the voting time. And then you can help vote for your favorite of the designs. It's going to be really fun. Okay, deep breath. So many announcements. I am finally going to publish my sock course that I have been working on for so long. I've been talking about this ever since I had my first Fish Lips Kiss heel class last sock week. Like, I'm gonna do a whole course with the whole sock and the heel and all the stuff. And it's just been more work than I thought. And you know what? That's okay, because it's given me a lot of time to tweak things and actually develop a new concept, which I am calling Perfect Fit Socks. So my new course is going to be coming out later in February, But if you want to get some tips before then, I'm gonna have this video series that has lots of sock tips completely for free. And then you will also be able to join the waitlist for the class, because the last 2 times I've had my heel classes, they've sold out within 24 hours. So I'm doing a waitlist this time, and people on the waitlist will get to get the registration link a day before the public, so that you have a better chance of getting a spot in the class. So I am still developing the class, and I'm going to be sharing more information over the next few weeks, but it is coming in February. It's finally going to be here, and I'm so excited for it. So if you have an interest in that, or if you would like to get access to the video series that I'm going to be doing, make sure you look at the link below for the Perfect Fit Sock waitlist and join it, so that you can get access to those things and learn more about the class. I will also share more here on the podcast over the next few weeks before the class goes on sale. Okay, last things here. Let's do giveaway stuff. So the last giveaway winner contacted me today. I was so excited because I had it in my notes like, oh, we got to announce the winner again. That was for the 3 huge skeins of sweater yarn. They were so excited. That makes me so happy when y'all are excited for the prizes, like as much as I'm excited to give them to you. And so I got that sent off to that winner this morning. That made me really happy to do, but that has been closed. So sweater yarn giveaway closed. I have a new giveaway because I have some new things that have come to me, and I wanted to share them with you. Like share them here in the podcast, and also literally share them with one winner. Because again, you know, I'm trying to be very minimal, keep things, not just use things in my stash, but like have a barrier on my stash, including bags, including accessories. So here we go. Anyway, so I received a couple things from 3 by the Sea Designs. They are a group of sisters out of Florida. They do stitch markers, and I didn't realize that they did bags until they sent me this. So they sent me this for the Sweetheart Sock Along, which I think is just perfect. It's got a small box bottom. I actually just took it out. Oh, I just took it out of the cellophane or whatever that is. Look at the inside. So cute. So I decided I'm going to keep this one because I love it. It's adorable. I think you could just fit like a 50-gram skein of yarn in here with your sock. Be careful with zippers always in knitting. Please, I cannot even tell you how many times I've zipped stuff into zippers. But what I think this would be even better for, I use these sizes a lot when I'm knitting something like the Sweetheart Socks. So all of these different colors are tiny little balls of yarn, and they can get like tangled up into the project bag. So I like to put all the ones that I'm not working on in a separate zipper pouch within my drawstring project bag, so that, you know, mini skeins are separated from working yarns. This works so well. So if you do have any bags that are this size, that's one way you can use them. Like I said, you could probably fit a really small project in here, and then also like notions, extra needles. Actually, these are a really good size for circular needles if you wind them up. So this one is so cute. You can check out 3 by the Sea. I'll have them linked to see if they still have more of that fabric. But this one I'm going to be giving away. It is so adorable. I haven't opened it yet, so I don't know what the fabric is on the inside, but since even the zipper and the thread match, I'm guessing it's adorable and that it matches perfectly. So I'm going to be giving away this bag, and I haven't decided yet which of these markers, but here's a few of the markers just as a sample of what they have that they sent to me. This one to me looks like gumballs. So cute. I love these kinds of markers where there's loose items on the inside. They don't make noise or anything because that would be bothersome, I think. This one is super cute. Little kawaii heart. And then this one is cool. This one has a bunch of light bulb stitch markers in different colors, which are super helpful, on a big, like, lobster claw type of deal. and then a gumball machine at the bottom. So I haven't decided which ones are going with that bag, but they are going to be part of today's giveaway. So if you would like to win this, we're doing US only. This is just for shipping costs, but US only. If you will just leave a comment below of what your favorite candy is. That's the prompt I'm going to be looking for when I randomly select a winner before the next podcast. And I will announce the winner in the next podcast. So just make sure to let me know your favorite candy in the comments in the next few days, because usually I record the podcast ahead of Thursday, of course. Yes, so tell me your favorite candy. Doesn't have to be Valentine's candy, because Valentine's candy is literally the worst candy of the year. Like, it isn't, is it not? Like, is it just me? Because I think Valentine's candy is the nastiest candy. I can't really stand like the box of chocolates. They're awful. I think the quality, maybe it's just the ones I've gotten. Because when I think box of chocolates, I remember the chocolate that I got from my very first date when I was 16 years old. And I mean, it was obviously like a super nice gesture, and I'm not like, hopefully, I don't think this person would ever watch this podcast. So if you do, I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm sure it was like drugstore, like chocolate box, whatever. And I'm just like, why do they put the grossest stuff inside these candies? Like, why? I don't want a toothpaste chocolate. Like, it's so gross. And then conversation hearts. Hello. They just like took all the chalk that, you know, all our teachers were using when we had chalkboards back in like the 80s and, oh, I don't even know. 80s? When did we switch over to whiteboards? Was that the 90s? I don't remember. But anyway, they took all that chalk, all the stubs of chalk, and they ground it up and added sugar to it. They didn't even have to add dye because chalk already has dye. And then they printed some names. It's absolutely terrible. Okay, I'm not joking because that's how I do feel about it, but I'm also just teasing because obviously if you like that candy, then it is good. I'm sure there's things that I like that people are like, that's disgusting. Like, I love apples that have turned. I have to tell on myself because now I feel bad for insulting candy that people might like. I like apples that are a little bit mushy, okay? I just do. A little bit mealy, not mushy. Mushy is gross. I like them to be mealy, not crisp. Okay, moving on. Why don't we go to life updates? All right, life this past week, since I last checked in with you, has been really good. Nothing super exciting going on. I don't think we went out and really did much of anything. We hung out with a friend at his place and like watched a movie over the weekend, which was great. But the most exciting news is that we got snow. So we got a decent amount of snow, maybe half a foot or a little bit more over the weekend. It was cold, it was like windy, it was really cool to watch from our windows. As some of you know, if you follow me on Instagram, we're pretty high up in our building. And so we get to kind of see most of, a big part of the skyline here in Midtown Manhattan, which is really cool. And so it was fun. It was like our first biggish snow coming from Texas. You know, we are not used to snow. And so that was fun. Toaster did great. He's been wearing his booties now like a champ. He's not even bothered by them. He's got his little snow jacket on. He's super adorable. I think that if we can find some pictures of snow and Toaster, that would be super cute. So I can't remember if I really took any pictures, honestly. I'm not really sure that I did because we were just kind of enjoying everything. But most of the weekend, we kind of just stayed in, hung out. I did a ton of knitting, a ton of finishing. I also did some organizing. I still had, after cleaning out my stash, I did all the stash stuff on video. Then I went through all the baskets underneath, kind of off camera. And then after that, I had still a pile of like old whips, designs that I wasn't sure if I was going to work on that didn't have a place to go. They'd been displaced. They have been sitting in a pile on the floor in front of that IKEA shelf. Obviously, I moved them out of the way when I took a final shot of my stash, but they'd been sitting there and I needed to deal with them. So I did some organizing in my closet. We've got a series of drawer things that we use, drawer organizers. I cleaned up, like, I had all this old tech stuff that I wasn't using anymore that I didn't need. I cleaned that up and rearranged things, and then I was able to make space for the designs that I wanted to keep. That's when I ripped out that like old design, reclaimed this bag, I ripped out the sock projects, and I just got things like finally totally organized, and that felt really, really nice. And now we can walk across the bedroom floor without a pile of things being in the way. I still have one thing that doesn't fit into my stash stuff because I need to start getting rid of some scraps if I'm not going to use them or using them up. But one step at a time, it's all working towards this goal of eliminating all of my stash and really just having workable things left to do. So that was great. It was a good weekend. I binge. Okay, so watching, listening, and reading. I do enjoy sharing this a lot. So forgive me if you are like, I don't need to hear what you're watching, but I like sharing it. So I finished Cheer, which is the cheerleading show on Netflix. I watched the second season. I think I watched 3 episodes, the last 3 episodes on Sunday morning, which was just so enjoyable. I was knitting on my sweetheart socks and watching the show, and then I'd switch and knit on this a little bit, watch the show, and I just think that it's amazing. Cheerleading blows my mind. If you were a cheerleader and you got thrown up into the air, what the heck? If you were able to flip, like, I'm just so impressed. I don't know how you do it. You're so strong. And it's a really good show. I mean, there was a couple episodes in this one that were just heavy, and I didn't like, that didn't make me feel good, but I mean, it's reality. And so it was a good show. I hope they bring it back for a 3rd season. I really enjoyed seeing, if you watch the show, there's 2 colleges that they feature, and one of which they mostly just featured in the 1st season. So it was nice seeing a 2nd college. I really enjoyed them too. And these 2 colleges are in Texas. So there's that other element that I enjoy watching, I think, for that show. So I finished that. That was just a me show. Kent was not watching that with me. Together, we're still watching Hawkeye. Although I said last week I loved it. It might be my favorite. But we watched a couple more episodes and it's kind of cheesy. Like, there's something that's not connecting with me in Hawkeye. I don't really understand why the 2 main characters have any reason to be together. I don't know if I'm missing something, but I'm not enjoying it as much as I thought from the 1st episode, but I still like it and we're still gonna finish it. So we're slowly watching Hawkeye. And we also started the 3rd season of The Circle, which is a Netflix original. It's a reality TV show that is just so funny. It's hard to explain, but basically it's like a social media competition where they have these people from, all different ages and backgrounds, and they're put alone in a room with just like cameras and a TV, and they like message with each other. They play games, they do all this stuff, and basically they like vote each other out. It's really interesting. You have to see it. You have to watch it to understand it, but they do the best job editing the show and leaving you on cliffhangers like every single time. So we're watching the 3rd season of the American version, but there are different countries. If you speak like Italian, there's one in Italy. I think it was Italy or maybe France or maybe both, but there's tons of them and they're really, really funny. So look for that on Netflix. I love it. I finished my book for book club, Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. It was dark. I don't recommend it, although I did enjoy it. And there was twists that I was hoping for throughout the ending of it. It was just slow and dark. And I decided that I don't really like reading things that are dark, like have a dark topic over them, because it brings me down. And it could be just a stage that I'm in right now where it's like I have enough problems in my life. I don't need there to be problems in the television shows that I watch or the books that I read. I need light stuff. And so I wouldn't recommend it right now. And honestly, with the feedback in the book club, it sounded like most people did not enjoy the book. But that's what's good about book clubs, is I got to read something different I never would have picked on my own. And now I know something more about my tastes. And I'm proud of myself for finishing it anyway. And I did enjoy it at the end, but can't recommend. one book that I can recommend, I actually started and finished a whole nother book. So this is how I really know that I shouldn't have made myself finish a book that I don't like. Like, you never have to finish something that's for entertainment value. If you're not liking it, stop doing it. This applies to knitting. This applies to watching things, reading things, listening to things. If there's not like an outside purpose for you doing that, it's just for your entertainment, stop. If you don't enjoy it, just stop. You do not have to finish it. But anyway, when I finished Into the Water, I was so excited to go to bed that night. That's when I read, is before bed. I was so excited to go to bed and read my next book because I love this book series so much. I loved this book so much that I read for 45 minutes to 30 to 45 minutes each night. Usually I like fall asleep in 5 minutes reading my book. And I finished it in less than a week because I started it I think on like a Thursday or Friday, and I finished it last night, which was Monday. So I read it in like a long weekend basically, which is for me lightning speed. I usually take 2 weeks to read a book. This was super, super fast. Okay. Anyway, the book is the third book from the Bridgerton series, and it's called An Offer from a Gentleman. And this is probably not a genre for everyone because it's sort of like that historical romance, but I love it. Like, I first watched the Bridgerton series on Netflix. I'm super excited for the second season to come out. I think it comes out early March, maybe. I don't know. It's coming out soon, but I can't remember exactly when. I loved it. I got the trilogy of the first 3 books. I loved the one that aligns with the show. I read the second one. I was like, man, I really like these books. And then I was reading Into the Water, finished that, and then devoured the third one. Like, I loved it so much. And so if you're looking for a new genre to try, or you do like historical romance, that might be a book that you enjoy. I have to say that it is like a safe romance, you know, like there is the adult element to it, but it's not over the top. And I think they're really great. I love them, and I have no shame that I like them. And I am going to go ahead and put my my wait list in for the next book in the series. But I was trying to think what I'm going to read tonight, and I'm probably going back to my Knitting Murder Mysteries because I'm still not done with them. I'm on like book 14 or 15 of like 20. I don't even know. And this is the Knit One Kill Two series by Maggie Sefton. So I haven't started it yet, but I think I'm going to. All right. I think that's it about life. So let's wrap things up with some wins. My goodness, this is a long podcast, but you know what? That's the ebb and flow of content sometimes. This week I have a lot to talk about. Who knows? Who knows what will happen next week? Okay, weekly wins. This is a segment where I'm sharing about things that I am reflecting on and I am proud of myself for doing. And I'm sharing it so that you can do the same for yourself, because I'm learning how hard I am on myself as a perfectionist is not fair to me, and it's not fair to others, because sometimes that's the lens that I look through life, is that, you know, you always have to be productive and do things perfectly. And that is just not the case. So please brag about yourself and congratulate yourself for doing a good job. So here are my weekly wins. I have 2 of them. The first one is that I published a pattern for the first time in 19 months. This is a huge mental hurdle that I have overcome, I feel like, because I last published a pattern in, I think it was like May or June of 2020. And for about a year, I was like beating myself up every single month. Like, okay, I said I was going to have another pattern out, and like, I just can't seem to work on it. I just don't feel creative, and I just am having a hard time, and I just don't, whatever. I had so many excuses. So then eventually I decided to just let it go and decide that I was not going to be a designer right now. Like, I I don't know when I'm going to start again. I know that I can, but it's not right now. And so a year and a half goes by and I finally was feeling more like myself again, more like creative, and I had ideas and I was excited to design. That's when Whitney approached me about the Sweetheart socks and designing this set of colors. And that's when we came up with that. I think that was in November of 2021. And so, yeah, so then I was like, okay, I'm going to be a designer again. I have a commitment with another person. I have got a deadline and I'm going to make it happen, but I'm not going to get ahead of myself. I'm not going to design a bunch of patterns. I'm going to design this pattern and we are going to work through it and we're going to publish it. And then I will think about the next one. And so this feels like a huge milestone for me. It's like a relaunching of my design business, and I'm excited. I know that it's okay that maybe this design isn't like perfection or exactly how I want to do things in the future, because, you know, I have all the little things I think about, like, oh, I wish I had done one more tutorial. I wish I had changed my format. I don't like the color of this. And I'm like, you know what? I published a pattern. That's what I set out to do. People will still be able to knit sock, even if the format is not perfect. If they have questions, I could always make another video. Like there's so many things that I'm learning about myself right now that have been holding me back for a long time. And so I feel good about setting this goal of publishing a pattern and following through. So that's a huge win for this week. And then the other one is I think it's actually my second full week, but I can't quite recall. But last week I had a full week where I did not work in the evening, so past 5 p.m., aside from planned events within my membership. I have been wearing myself out for years. And honestly, I had a lot of energy to do it when I was working, because I was just like, I was so goal driven to make Knitty Natty my full-time job. And it was still really hard. I still made a lot of sacrifices, but the drive was there. And then when I actually achieved that goal, the weirdest thing happened. I tanked. I guess, I don't know if it was burnout or what, but I felt like I was an imposter. I don't know. You know, they talk about imposter syndrome. I don't know. I felt really, really strange all of last year, and I had a really difficult time. I was also working really hard, and I was like, why am I working, I feel like, so much harder than when I also had a job and I also did all of these things? Now I can do nothing. It was just really strange. And so I would have a really hard time getting my day started. I would then work for 12 hours. And this happened every single day and on the weekend. And I was just always working. And so I am learning to now set boundaries in my day, which is difficult when you have to set your own schedule, whether you are working for somebody else or working for yourself or taking care of a family or just taking care of you. It's hard to do that when you have to decide, when you have to be the boss and the worker. You're like, what am I today? So I have been learning, like I said, a lot about myself, and I have been implementing this new planning system that I'm learning. And for the first time, I had a whole week where I had evenings to do, I still have responsibilities. I want to be healthier, so I'm working out more. I want to spend time with Kent. We have to cook. I still need to get to bed at a decent hour because I wake up early, all this stuff. But I feel so much better. I think that's why I feel creative again, because I'm having time and space. I also have been taking the weekends off, which is just weird because I was always working on the weekends, I feel like, for the past several years, because that's when I had time to work on Knitty Natty. So now I'm like, no. I am drawing these red lines around my time, and I am working my tail off during the hours that I've chosen, and I am allowing myself to rest during the hours I have chosen, and I am choosing not to feel guilty about resting during that time. And it is changing my life. I don't know if you can tell because I keep talking about this, but Perfectionism Project, it's a podcast by Sam Laura Brown, and if you are feeling the same way, like, I think you would benefit from listening to some of her episodes. It's really geared a lot towards people who have their own businesses, but I think there's tidbits that are so helpful that can apply it to a lot of situations. So anyway, those are my wins for the week: the pattern and setting my boundaries and sticking to it. It feels really, really good. This might be the longest podcast I've ever recorded. My goodness, if you're still here, thank you for sticking around. Please make sure to leave me a comment on your favorite candy if you are in the US and would like a chance to win this 3 by the Sea pouch. You can also shop them. I'll have the link down below. So many things coming up. Join us for the Sweetheart Sock Along. Sign up for the Perfect Fit Sock waitlist and get those free videos. Yeah. If you're a designer, submit your pattern for the Yarnia plus Love and Stitches make along. Okay, that's it. I already talked about all this. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.